Have you ever been discouraged in praying about something and feeling as if, Lord, I don't think that you're hearing this. I don't feel as if you're answering this prayer. I feel like my prayers are bouncing off the ceiling. You've been in sorrow. You've been physically ill because you really have a desire from the Lord, and it just doesn't seem like things are working out. Does that describe maybe a season or situation in your life? Well, that's what's happening here in Daniel chapter 10. And God kind of pulls back the curtain in Daniel chapter 10, and he shows us some things that we rarely consider and some things that we probably don't bring into consideration when it comes to the spiritual realm. So we in this life seem to, and sometimes make the mistake of assuming that reality is only the things that we can apprehend with our senses. So if I can taste it, if I can feel it, if I can see it, if I can hear it, if I can smell it, then it's real. And if I can't do those things, if I can't apprehend in those ways, then it's not real. And that's not true. The Bible says that there's an unseen world, very much as real as this world, that is hidden from our view, except for the times that God chooses to kind of pull back that curtain. So we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So the Bible is teaching that there is a whole lot going on that you and I just don't see, that's going on around us every day. And Daniel chapter 10 helps us to understand a little bit of that through this episode in Daniel's life. So would you look at Daniel chapter 10 and verse 1? I hope I have your interest sufficiently piqued this morning. Daniel chapter 10, look at verse 1. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, so remember last chapter, it was the 1st year of Darius. Now Darius and Cyrus were reigning at the same time. Darius was the Mede, and Cyrus was the Persian. So the Medo-Persian Empire is what overtook Babylon. Specifically, the Medes were controlling Babylon, but the Persians were the stronger of the two, and really the world power eventually and essentially was under the Persian rule, and Cyrus was the king of the world. So what do we know about Cyrus? We know that Cyrus, in the very 1st year of his reign, you can read about this in Ezra chapter 1, and this is in accordance with Isaiah's prophecy. Cyrus gave permission, actually issued a decree, that the people of God, all of whom wanted to, all of whom felt the urge in their heart, could go back to Jerusalem and could rebuild the temple of God. So what a decree. God had predicted through Isaiah that Cyrus by name would do this. What an amazing prophecy. So you would think that when the decree was actually issued, that all of God's people would go back. I mean, who wouldn't take advantage of that kind of opportunity? We've been in captivity for all these many years. Our heart has been depressed because we're not in the holy city. We have the opportunity now to go back and rebuild the temple and become a nation again and worship God the way that he deserves. I mean, who would not take advantage of that opportunity? And I say that almost tongue-in-cheek because most of the Jews did not. Most of the Jewish people that were in captivity, maybe a couple million of them, we don't know the exact number, but however many there were, most of them did not go back to Jerusalem. As a matter of fact, only a small remnant went back. About 50,000, not even, almost 50,000 people under the leadership of Zerubbabel, who is one of the offsprings of the Davidic line, and Joshua, the high priest. They went back. Now remember, Daniel's heart is Jerusalem. He's been praying toward Jerusalem. He got put in jail because of his prayer. Remember that whole thing in Daniel chapter 6, praying toward Jerusalem. Last chapter, we read about the fact that he has this great heart and burden for Jerusalem and for God's city. And God's revealing that great vision to him about Daniel's 70th week, 70 weeks rather, about the ultimate the ultimate vindication of God's people and the rule of Messiah from Jerusalem. So, I mean, Jerusalem is in the mind of Daniel, and he really desires to go back. Now, Daniel is in his 80s, so he's not going back. This journey is going to be too much for him. He is better off serving his people in his high-level governmental position back in Persia. So Daniel never physically goes back to Jerusalem, but boy, his heart is for Jerusalem. So now in the 3rd year of Cyrus, what does Daniel know? Daniel knows that by and large, the response of God's people to the decree has been disappointing. And the response has indicated to Daniel that there's a grave problem among God's people with apathy, with mediocrity, and no doubt that this is contributing to Daniel's angst. So look at verse 1 again. So in the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar. The thing was true, but the time appointed was long. So interestingly, God's going to reveal to Daniel some details about the future of God's people. But what God is going to reveal is something that's going to take place over many, many years. We're going to get to that. So it's interesting that when the Bible is giving a little bit of a synopsis description of what God's going to tell Daniel, the Bible says the thing is true, but it's going to take a long time to take place. So truth and length of time are not mutually exclusive. And that's an important thing for us to understand in the Bible, is that God gives promises that are true, but sometimes the truth of those promises cannot be ascertained for many years, sometimes many lifetimes, many thousands of years. That doesn't negate the truth of it. It just causes us sometimes to wonder about it. Is this really going to happen? Is this really true? Because time plays tricks with us, right? In our own lives. Lord, are you ever going to? Is this ever going to take place? God, are you even there? I don't see how this is going to work out. I guess maybe I was wrong about. Sometimes our brain plays tricks with us when it comes to the fulfillment of God's plan and purpose in our life. So I think God is saying at the very get-go here, hey, the thing is true, but the time appointed is long. So look at verse 1 again. So the thing was true, the time appointed was long, and he understood the thing and had understanding of the vision. So there's kind of a synopsis of where we're going. God's going to reveal something. It's something that's going to take place over a period of time, but it is true. Daniel understands it to be true. He gets it. He understands what God is communicating to him. Now, how does this all unfold in real time? Because it's always easy to look at a situation through the rearview mirror and say, well, it all worked out, and wow, God is good, and look at how God orchestrated this. There's always the joy of looking back and seeing the clarity of hindsight. But when we're in it, when we're facing it, when the days are long and the confusion level is high, it's an altogether different thing. So let's wade into the story now in real time and see, how God works in Daniel's life and how Daniel comes to apprehend the truth of this vision. Okay, look at verse 2. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks. He was mourning. He was upset. He was officially mourning. We'll see that. He's not eating. He's not enjoying pleasurable activity. He's mourning. And no doubt the mourning here is for his people and for his holy city. Now, last chapter, the mourning was, Lord, are we ever going to go back? And God says, yes, and I have a plan for Israel. And that plan encompasses many hundreds of years. But the mourning, I think, in verse number 2 of chapter 10 is a mourning for the fact that the people of God are not responding. They're not taking God at his word. And no doubt this is a source of sorrow for Daniel. Look at verse 3. I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth. Neither did I anoint myself at all, till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. I mean, Daniel is just in it, day by day, week after week after week, 3 weeks, just mourning and praying and confused and upset. And I'm not eating and I'm not bathing and I'm just in this period of confusion and sorrow. Look at verse number 4. And in the 24th day of the first month, as I was by the side of the great river, which is Hiddekel, then I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz. His body also was like beryl, and his face has the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. So Daniel is by the river. He has completed this time of mourning, and all of a sudden he sees this otherworldly creature. It appears as a man. This creature appears as a man, but it's clearly not a human being. So often in the Bible, when an angelic being would appear to people, he would appear in a human form, but he's not a human being. So in this case, the description is, wow, this is an astounding looking individual. It really looks a lot like the description of Jesus himself in the book of Revelation in chapter 1. Remember that section there in the teens, like verses 12, 13, 14, 15, right in that section? It describes the Lord Jesus in his glorified, appearance. And wow. So this reminds me a lot of the description of Jesus. Now, I don't think it is an Old Testament appearance of Jesus. And the reason for that is later on in this chapter, we're going to find that this angelic being dispatched with a message from God was hindered by demonic forces. And I don't think that Jesus would be necessarily hindered by demonic forces and need the help of Michael the archangel. But the point is, this is a great creature, a great angel dispatched from God to speak to Daniel about his concern, that about which he is mourning. So look, if you would, at verse number 7, last verse I'll read for today. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. Therefore I was left alone, verse 8, and saw this great vision, and there remained no strength in me, for my comeliness was turned in me into corruption. I retained no strength. So verses 7 and 8 really remind me of the vision that Paul saw in Acts chapter 9, when he saw a vision of Jesus and those around him were scared, struck to the ground. They heard something, but they didn't apprehend the words. Very similar here. God has a specific message to Daniel, and the others are going to fear, and Daniel is going to have some clarity. It's a great, I'm telling you, this is an amazing passage, but you're gonna have to wait all weekend long. No cheating, no looking ahead. And we'll come back to this on Monday, Lord willing. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday. God bless.